Hello everyone, welcome to this very special episode of Experience Exchange for many reasons. One, we are not in the studio. We are coming at you live from Paso Robles, California in San Luis Obispo County. And with me, we have the wine witch, Nancy Ulloa. Hello, yes.
Hello.
My sister from Guadalajara as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, both Mexicanas. So excited to meet you. Believe it or not, we're like barely meeting. So
Yes,
this is
yes,
super
we are.
fast track friendship. Yeah.
Yes.
You came across my algorithm and you were like, I am the wine witch. And I was like, immediately love your vibe. Following, because many of you know, I've mentioned it a lot on the podcast, we used to live in Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo County, before we lived in Merced. So yeah, we love the area. We come back to visit David's mom, my in-laws, and yeah. And now I'm meeting a new friend and I have a new stop. We are in Ulloa Cellars tasting room. Yeah, it's super cute. You have to come check it out. But before that, the folks will want to know your Astro Big Three.
All right. So first of all, I do want to say thank you for the invitation to be on your podcast. You just gotta love the algorithm for connecting people that align with each other's values. And I love meeting other witches in our community, especially women of color. So I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the podcast. So my big three. So I'm a Virgo sun. I'm a Leo moon. Ooh. And I know Leo. And I'm a Taurus rising, which is I definitely see a lot of that in me for sure.
Oh, okay. I love that combinations for you. So Virgo sun, attention to detail. You absolutely have to when making wine, I'm sure.
You have to. Absolutely.
Yeah. The Leo sun, I think the presentation, like not afraid to stand out and have their own sparkle.
Yeah.
And then I love the Taurus rising. We've been talking a lot about Tauruses recently and Taurus energy because they're very sensory. They're like, it has to taste good.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also very stubborn sometimes. Very stubborn, but very hardworking and consistent. So I definitely feel like I embrace some of those qualities as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to tell you about how I got into wine tasting.
Tell me.
So did you grow up Catholic like many Mexicans?
I did, yes.
So obviously I had the church wine.
Was that your first experience wine tasting?
Oh yeah, I was like 8 years old.
A lot of our first experience, right? Yes.
Yeah. And I actually liked how it tasted, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is... And then my second experience, so I grew up in LA, and the LA alcohol culture, especially as a young person, is you just drink to get fucked up.
Yep, of course, yeah.
I met David, who grew up in wine country, San Luis Obispo County, and he took me wine tasting, and he thought I knew what I was doing. I was chugging the tasters. He was mortified. He was like, baby girl, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm drinking, duh.
Is that what we're doing? Yeah.
So he had to teach me, like, you smell it, you look at the color, you sip it. And at first I was like, what the hell? Like, we're wasting time. We could be getting crunk right now.
I will tell you, I see that in the tasting room sometimes, and I'm not anyone who's gonna judge anyone's style of drinking. So you do you, boo. Absolutely no judgment. So if you come here at Ulloa Cellars and you're like, what's the next? I'll keep on pouring for you. So like, I ain't tripping for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But once he taught me, now I enjoy proper wine tasting.
Okay,
I'm
nice.
like, this smells like this or this tastes like this. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was how I got into wine.
Okay. I love that story.
How did you get into wine? It's such a unique industry to want to get into.
Absolutely. So I actually didn't grow up with wine at home. Like my parents didn't drink wine. My dad drank beer, cerveza. I actually remember the first time I tried wine when I was in college. I went to like this party and they had like a Cabernet or something, and I tried and I was like, how do people enjoy this? Like I thought it was disgusting. And then later on, through working in fine dining, I was able to receive knowledge when it comes to like wine production and different areas in the world that grow wine and different types of grapes, and that is what sparked an interest in wine for me. So it wasn't through family, it was through being able to have these experiences through eating and working in restaurants, which honestly I think it's the best way that I could have learned, because it was like informal way of learning, but it also opened up to the idea that wine and food are besties and they can hang out, and some besties vibe, some besties don't vibe. So like I think the food and wine pairings could be really a really amazing gateway for people to start opening up to wine in a way that is unpretentious.
Yeah. How old were you when you were like, this is interesting, I want to learn more?
I think it was like 22.
You were 22.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At 22 is when 22, 23 is when like I really got into wine. I got into like Malbec and Tempranillo because I was working at a Peruvian restaurant that was selling wines from Argentina and from Chile.
Oh, wow.
And then later on, I got very serious about learning how to make wine when I think it was like 29. That's when I was like, okay, this is the career path I want to take after living a different career. I went to school and studied sociology with a concentration on community change. So I was working in a lot of nonprofits. I was a crazy activist with a megaphone. Like you said, I'm not afraid to like stand out and speak up. And so that's how it started. That was my career. But then I had a life-changing experience, a catalyst of an experience where I left an abusive relationship. And when I left, that experience really allowed me to analyze the way I was living my life and who I was living my life for, and then make decisions to pivot my career and just my life in general to do things that brought me joy. And I was like, well, I want to learn how to make wine. And everyone was like, you're crazy. What do you mean? You have a career. You have never met a winemaker. We're not in any place where you can learn how to make wine. And then the next thing they would say was, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So like they were like, don't do it, but I wish I could do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can. We all have the ability to choose what we want our life to look like. It will not be an easy process to leave everything behind and pursue this, right? There was a lot of sacrifices that were made, a lot of things and people that I left behind. But in order for you to get the things that you want in your life, you have to do things that are uncomfortable. And that's what manifestation is. Manifestation is not just asking for something and watching it walk through the door and just be gifted to you. You have to put in the work to go through the journey of achieving those things by looking for resources and putting yourself in situations that might not be comfortable.
Yeah, that's how I explain the difference between manifestation and prayer. With prayer, you're just like, please give this to me.
Yes.
With manifestation, it's like I'm aligning both like the astral and the physical of like, I'm going to look for the right timing, whether it's like fixing my energy imbalance or looking for the right astrological window, but then I'm also going to do the physical.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely, one of the tools that I've used that has really helped me tremendously is surrendering to allowing things to come your way that are supposed to help you, you know, which they might not look like what you're expecting. You might think that there's one path to doing things, but there's many different paths, and you don't know what the best path is for you unless you allow yourself to let go of the idea of what perfection is or what's supposed to be for you, because the universe might have much better plans for you, but you just gotta surrender and let go of that illusion of control to allow those things to come in.
Yeah. Speaking of paths, I'm sure that nobody gave you the path and they're not like, this is how you can be a Mexican witchy winemaker in the 805.
No,
here's the perfect guide.
Definitely not. No, definitely not. That definitely has organically come into place to be. Like I've learned that there is definitely wrong ways of making wine, right? You can fuck up wine,
turn
by
it to vinegar,
doing certain things. Yes, very expensive vinegar, but there's not one right way, and everyone does things differently. And so I have learned through having different mentors, not just one mentor. There's one main mentor that definitely I love and respect, and he has opened so many doors for me. But I have different mentors throughout my career that I have worked with. who do things very differently, and then I adjust and pick and choose what works best stylistically for what I'm doing, and also like resource wise, what can I actually make work with the resources I have. So rather than thinking that this person told me to do this, so I'm gonna do this, it's like, okay, what's the best option for me? So I have done that. And then also, once I started to make wine for my brand and developing the identity of the brand, that also has happened organically, in which, like, at first I was actually very afraid to show up very feminine because the industry is very masculine.
Yeah.
And so I thought in order for me respected or let in or to have a place in the industry, I had to show up like the people who are the authority of the wine world. And no matter how hard I like wore nothing but flannels and like talk more masculine and try to name drop like a lot of people do, I never was fully embraced in, and it was extremely exhausting continuing pretending to be this person that I was not.
That's so exhausting.
I can't have the palate that these people do. There's a lot of wines where they're like, oh, this is amazing, but drink it in 15 years. And I'm like, I don't have the patience to drink it in 15 years. And that's not my palate or my budget for the things that I want to drink. And so I learned through other really amazing women mentors that I am not meant to fit in these spaces.
Period.
I have learned that it is very powerful for you to stop trying to shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were not built for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so once I realized that, then I allowed myself to have the freedom to dress like myself, to like not think that I have to dye my hair in order for me to be like, you know, I thought I had to dye my hair black in order for me to be accepted. I'm like, screw that. Like, here comes a redhead, the crazy Mexican redhead, you know, with her witchy vibes. That has been a superpower for me, you know. So the more that I embrace who I am in my branding, the more that I have had the people who like truly do want to joyfully hang out with me and learn about my witchy wine methods and learn about wine in a way that is like comfortable and easy and fun. So I think that honestly, like, you never know how things are gonna turn out. If you would have told me 9 years ago when I moved to Paso, or 6 years ago when I launched my brand, that this is the direction that it was gonna take, I would have said there's no fucking way. There's no way that there's gonna be room for a brand like this out there. It sounds amazing. Like, how cool is that? You know, that sounds like it's such a cool brand. But I didn't think it was possible. So I think always leaving space for the impossible and the cool and the unique. That's where the magic comes in.
Absolutely. And I felt very similarly when I started my own brand, because I know we play it up like David's the skeptic, I'm the mystic, but I'm also very skeptical.
Yes.
Like, I don't believe in just anything. Like, I do my own research. Like, astrology is like the one thing that like you can go back to ancient Mesopotamia and stuff. So yeah, I know. I was also like, is there room for me in my brand where I'm like both, and I'm wanting to talk about the hard history of things? And yeah, there is. And like you were saying earlier, people are like, don't do that, and then once you do it, they're like, how cool, like, can you sponsor my kids like soccer game or something?
Dude.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, I've had a lot of people that are like looking at me on the sidelines, and then they're using now horoscope and wine pairings, and I'm like, that's not on brand with you, but you know what, there's one for everyone. So if that's the right direction you want to take, then that's cool, you know. But you know, of course, like, I came up with that idea first, but now I'm just kidding. But I just think that there is this massive change in the way that we look at spirituality. And spirituality, there's such a fine line between spirituality of science that sometimes they overlap. And just like I am very witchy, I'm also like always looking at how logically these things are actually working. I mean, like, I'm making wine, I'm using chemistry.
You're using science.
Yeah, there's so much I freaking love science. I love patterns. I love numbers. I love you know, having things like, you know, these lab results reflect to me what's going on chemistry and the chemically in the wine, so that I know how to guide the wines to go to where I want them to go. So because I'm their mom, I gotta guide them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so like, I think that being able to being open to both could really be very powerful for all of us. It's just like the masculine and the feminine, you know. Yeah, I'm really girly, but I'm also like, I'm running a business, so the business part of me is like very masculine, you know, control and like control, right? And patterns and the economy and logic, but also like the whimsical, feminine, soft, kind, meaningful. It's something that could create something very beautiful together.
Yeah. And I mean, you're making your wine and you also have your tasting room. Sometimes people only have one or the other, but you have both.
Yes, I do.
So you also have that like hosting feminine energy of like, I want people to be comfortable, taken care of when they enter my space.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
And then also just as Mexicans, it's like if people come over, you always want to take care of them.
You want to make sure that they feel like they're at home. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And it is super homey here. For me, not just because it's like, you know, super comfortable, but all of the spiritual stuff that you have around. You have an oracle deck library for people while they're like sipping. You have crystals everywhere. How did your spiritual journey start?
So the journey started, so I grew up Catholic as well. And when I went to college, I actually started to take all these courses that were expanding my mind. I'm a philosophy minor, so of course with that background in philosophy, you question everything, right? And so I did take a world religion class, and I already was in a path where like I feel like there was a lot of disparities in terms of gender equality and the church, and I felt like that was not fair. Like, why is it that women can't do the same things as men, you know, when we are equally or maybe even more powerful, right?
Yeah.
And so I asked one of my professors, is there a possibility that God is a woman? And he said, yes, absolutely. There's a lot of deities all over the world in different cultures. And he said, and I asked him, like, who are they? And he said, go find them. And so that was back in, I think it was 21, I think, when that journey started to find the divine feminine. And so that is how my spirituality started. And throughout the years, I have been very open to tapping into different healing modalities and finding meaning in life. And so I have found it through, like Hinduism. I love these Hindu deities who are personalities that we all can resort to be able to find meaning in life and to navigate life in a very different way. I have definitely gone into like, healing modalities like yoga. Definitely I was really, there's seasons that I have been really into yoga, breath work. I do rituals all the time. I'm an oracle girly. I'm also a crystal witch. So crystals I'm super obsessed with, to the point that I actually use crystals to infuse my wines energetically in the cellar. And then I also do offer wine and crystal pairings here in the tasting room, where you come in, you pay $11.11 for a set of crystals that you learn about and how they're related to the wines. And then you take the crystals home with you. The goddess energy comes in with just how I ask for assistance from the spiritual world to help me navigate in this physical plane. And I do honor different goddesses in my labels. So when you come and taste the wines, I also talk to you about these goddesses so that you can learn about them, and then you can embrace those goddesses in your journey along with the crystals that you're taking home with you. Positive affirmations I have used also for a very long time, since I was like 21. And so these affirmations have created a focus in terms of the things that I want to see more of in my life. And they have definitely helped me. And affirmations are like prayers, right? Or mantras. Yeah. They help you focus your energy in the things that you want. And that's where neuroscience comes in, right? So it's all about like where your attention is going and how you attract more of those things by paying attention to those things. Yeah.
What goddesses do you work with, like, personally for your own self-practice?
So I'm a huge devotee of Lakshmi, who is the deity of abundance in Hinduism.
Okay.
So Lakshmi definitely has come through many times to help me pay so many invoices to get things done and to bring abundance into my life. I'm also, I have worked with Kali, who is the deity of transformation. She's actually, a lot of people see her as a goddess of war and destruction because she's very ferocious. Like when you call upon her to help you transform, she comes to rip off the things that no longer serve in your life, and that process could be very painful. It could be painful, it could be very scary, to rip off that safety blanket from you, but it's necessary for you to be able to get the things that no longer serve you and not carry that extra weight. So Kali has been amazing. And of course, even though I'm not Catholic, La Virgen de Guadalupe, she is like or mother for a lot of us, you know. And so like she brings that soft, kind, unconditional love.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big fan of her, and I think that she has really helped me through a lot of very difficult times.
Yeah. And even though, you know, we're not Catholic anymore, like, no hate to Jesus,
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Jesus is my homeboy.
Yeah.
Like, she's, you know, he definitely was a hippie promoting love. Like, I believe he, in the power of him, you know. I just don't believe in these entities or, you know,
man-made institutions.
Yes, that are controlling us and shaming people for who they love, or you know, just for where they came from or skin color. Like, I just don't believe in that, but I do believe in the power that all these entities have come to help us be guided. And I do work with a lot of other deities depending on who it is that I or what it is that I'm dealing with. I don't, you know, and I don't know. I just they have provided a lot of strength for me.
So one thing that caught my attention when you came across my feed was specifically a post where you said, you know, I also infuse ritualism into how I make my wine. Like, I ask the earth for permission. I harvest at certain times. I thought that was so fascinating. So could you tell us a little bit about like what rituals from really start to finish you use in your wines?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, we're working with an agricultural product with working with nature. So for me, it's something I have incorporated to ask the land for permission before we harvest. So I do bring offerings. So I do bring flowers to the vineyards, to all the different vineyards before harvesting, just to honor the vineyard for what it has done to help me, you know, have access to this beautiful fruit that I will alchemize into these beautiful wines.
Yes.
So I do that. Sometimes I do also bring like my oracle decks to receive guidance. And so like I sit there in the middle of the rows in the vineyard and just pull a card and then meditate, and then, you know, just honor the land for what it has done to allow me to get these grapes. When the grapes come in, I actually do sage the grapes, especially at the beginning of harvest. So like I do have, I like to work with sage when it comes to the fruit coming in, and I just like sage it. A lot of people do the blessing with champagne, and I used to do that before, but now I'm like, I'm a witch. Like, I gotta use my own method. So maybe one day I'll use mezcal or something, you know? But yeah, so I bless them. I also have incorporated sigils in my picking bins. So I do have, so we have these big plastic bins which we bring to the vineyard so that they could put the grapes there so we can bring them in. So I have made a sigil for protection and for abundance. Yes. That I basically just put on tape and then put it on the bin, and then it goes there, and then it comes back, and it, you know, the grapes are protected throughout the trajectory from the vineyard to the cellar. I have incorporated Sanskrit mantra chanting in the cellar. So I have learned the mantra of Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance. And so I recite the mantra in Sanskrit when I'm inoculating the wine, which is when I'm adding the yeast to start the fermentation so that the juice becomes wine. I also recite it when I'm doing any kind of work with the wine. I also work with frequencies. So the frequencies I incorporate in different ways. So I do play music for them. The 24s, there was a lot of Shakira vibes. The 25s, what did I have for the 25s? The 25s, there was a lot of Karol G vibes for sure. Benito, you know, Bad Bunny for sure. I have also incorporated the crystals. The crystals it's a big part of like how I promote like the use of crystals. So I never get the wines in contact with the crystals. That's super important for me. I don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the wines by adding rocks in there, right? Yeah. So for us as human beings, we can just have the crystals in close proximity, and that's how we can get the benefit. So I place the crystals, these strands of crystals that look like necklaces, on top of the barrels. And so each barrel has its own set of crystals. Each of the barrels does have that. And these crystals stay there throughout the fermentation and the aging of the wine. Wow. And then also the barrels, rather than numbering the barrels based on what's in there, I name them. So they all have names of deities from all over the world. So I have about 40 goddesses in my cellar, infusing the wines with their energy, protecting my babies, giving them personality as well. I'm like, I go and I'm like, okay, Lakshmi, okay, Ixchel. I also have, you know, some Latino deity names. And then what else? Man, I do so many things. There's so many layers of things that I can do, you know, to the wines, which I feel like it creates a more meaningful relationship, and it makes me feel excited when I'm gonna go into the cellar to do those things.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing your process. That is so exciting. And I'm so excited to talk about the future and your newest release when we come back after this ad break. Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind the scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCallo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencallo.com. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back. So, talk about divine timing. I didn't know when we made our release schedule, but this episode is coming out the day before your anniversary of your tasting room.
Yes.
So, this year it will be 3 years.
3 years, yes. Wow. Yeah. So I actually started making wine in 2019 and released my wine in 2020. But from 2020 to 2023, I was just hustling, slinging wine out of the trunk of my car.
Oh my God.
I was doing a lot of work while also having a full-time job. So, you know, as a small producer and a small business owner, you just have to do what you can with the resources you have. So I tried to do that for a long time until I received the opportunity to have the space to be able to host people. I actually, just like a lot of things, the space came to me. You know, I didn't think that I had the resources to have a tasting room, and my landlords, who are the people from Yes Cocktail, they're right next door, they reach out, they're like, hey, have you thought about opening a tasting room? And I was like, well, I would love to, but I don't think I can afford it. And they said, let's talk. And so they are the ones that have made it possible for me to be able to have the space. And they're super kind, so loving. They have provided the space that I have infused with so much energy here spiritually. I don't know if you can feel it, but I have done a lot of work spiritually for the place to inviting for everyone and open. And so, yeah, it's been really great to have this space where I can call it my home.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. They saw me while I was waiting here for you, and they were like, did you have like an early appointment or something? It's a little early for a wine tasting. I'm gonna wine taste at 9 a.m. No, I told them that we were doing the podcast, and they were so happy for you.
They're so nice.
Yeah, they were like, absolutely, she deserves all the spotlight. She's doing amazing things. So
they're so sweet.
They hype you up even when you're not around.
The feeling is mutual. I love them.
Yeah. So for your 3-year anniversary, or just about, we have your newest release, which is right in front of us. So tell us about this beautiful queen.
Okay,
here.
so I don't think I mentioned, but I do specialize in the production of obscure whites, which are basically unusual white grapes. Okay, I do have a separate project with my husband, which is called The Witch and the Warlock. That's the name of that brand, and for that brand, I make my husband and I make reds, and he's the head winemaker for that brand. But for this brand, I make all whites that are infused with all these spiritual methods. And this wine is super special for me. This is my 2025 Albarino. Okay. And Albarino is a grape that grows in Portugal and in Spain. Okay. And truth be told, I didn't want to make Albarino because it's a little more common here. It's not super common, but it's a little more common for the wine snobs in the area. But my sister asked me, she was like, make me an Albarino. And I was like, no, I won't make that. And then a few weeks later, I received an offer for a contract of Albarino that I couldn't refuse. I was like, fine, then I'll make it. Wow. And so I made it for my sister. So the goddess on the label is my sister because she's an Albarino lover, and she has had a big influence in me being able to like love and accept myself. Wow. And just have this immense love for myself, and to put myself first in many situations. My sister's a therapist, so she always like says that how it is, and she keeps me on check. And so this wine is always about unconditional self-love. And one thing about my sister is that she's very direct. She's a Leo. She's very direct, very outspoken. And so growing up, my mom always called her a cabrona. And so my dad used to be like, don't call her cabrona. And then she used to say, mejor cabrona que pendeja. Like, I'd rather be an asshole than a dumbass. Or if you want to say it softly, I'd rather be a baddie than a dummy. Depending on how you see it. And so each of the wines, I didn't mention this, but I do infuse them with positive affirmations at the back of the label to infuse the wines with that energy based on the study that Masaru Emoto did with water, which shows that you can influence the structure and the memory of water. And since wine is mainly made up of water, I'm like, well, I'm going to infuse my wine. So the affirmation that I just mentioned, mejor cabrona que pendeja, it's in the back of this label. The affirmation changes every year. Every year is different. So the affirmation for last year was, my value is not defined by my productivity. The one before that is, soy el amor de mi vida.
I am the love of my life.
I am the love of my life. So I do infuse the wines with the affirmations. They change every year, and they're always written in Spanish. Always. It's really important for me to connect with people from my culture, because we are not represented in this industry.
No, we're not.
Only out of the United States, only 1% of wineries less than 1% are owned by Latinos, and out of that, it's less tiny percent by Latina winemakers. So the fact that I could that I'm like less than 1% of the population of people who own wineries, it's something that I want to shout out to people, because not only does it create this representation for people to know that there's a path for us, but it also creates that connection with people from our culture, because if they know that I speak Spanish, they can come in and not feel intimidated to ask certain questions about wine, and just to enjoy wine in a place that feels like home.
I would totally bring my parents here.
Please bring your parents. Yeah. A lot of people do bring their parents. And
my mother-in-law, I would totally bring her here. She's bilingual.
Yes, I do the tasting in Spanish for people who want the tasting in Spanish. It's a really great opportunity for me to practice my Spanish, and also there's just such a beautiful connection with people from your culture when you speak in their language. So I think that's really great. I see people's faces light up when they see the affirmation in their own language.
Yes.
Like, that is so cool. Like, it's so beautiful.
It's a different type of magic, for sure.
It is a different type of magic. I don't take that for granted, for sure.
And I appreciate that you popped the bottle for me.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. So the flavors on this wine, this baby's actually coming from a vineyard that is called Martian down in Los Alamos, which is
I love that.
It's a biodynamically farmed vineyard. And if you don't know about biodynamics and you're witchy and you're a garden witch, go look into biodynamic farming, which is actually a more holistic way of making growing grapes and making wine that has some aspects that are really, really witchy. Like, they actually do follow the lunar calendar to do certain things in the vineyard. And it gets a little more weird, but I'm not going to get into it because that's something that you should look into. But this one is coming from that area, and this baby has very tropical summer vibes. It's like you're sitting by the beach in Maui sipping on a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tropical notes. Guayaba. There's definitely a lot of guayaba on the nose, like guava, pineapple, mango. This wine is just very magical. I love this.
I've never had an Albarino before, but it smelled like, from the smell, it smells very sweet.
Yes.
So I was like, how is this possible for a white?
Yeah, it smells sweet, but it's actually like on the palate, there's always what we call dry, which is not sweet, like it's acid driven.
Yeah.
Because I want my wines to do have a lot of complexity. The sweetness that you smell in the nose is from the fact that I harvested the grapes later on in the season, where there was more sugar accumulated in the grapes. So stylistically, I get to choose when to harvest the grapes depending on what it is that I want to produce for people. So I use the time of harvest, the different barrels, the different yeast, and the different tools that I use in the winemaking as my spice rack to determine how I want the wines to be made and what I want to translate for people with the flavors.
It definitely tastes the fruity notes, and I love dry wines. That is my thing.
Yes, same.
Like, would you consider Zinfandels to be dry?
They could be dry, depending on how the winemaker makes them.
Well, that's just my jam. So I really love this.
I love it.
And it does have like that dry but fruity taste. So
Yes,
it does have a tropical vibe. Like, this would be really nice on a hot summer day outside.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So I am a big fan of this wine.
Yay.
Yes,
Thank you so much, love.
So
I appreciate you.
how can folks purchase your wine? Do they have to be in the 805?
You don't have to. I would love to hang out with you if you come to the tasting room, but I actually do have a web store. For the web store, you go on either ulloacellars.com, ULLOACELLARS, which
I'll have it in the show notes.
Yeah, have it there, which is a little hard for people to remember, but what's easy to remember is latinawinemaker.com. And so if you go on latinawinemaker.com, there's a tab for the wines, and I ship everywhere in the states where wine is allowed to be shipped, because there's some rules in certain states I can't ship the wine. But in California, like if you order your wine, I usually ship on Mondays and then you get it on Tuesday. So I should be at UPS, and so you just have to pay the shipping fee. But you can have these babies delivered to your doorstep. And I do have, for the whites, I make 9 different whites. They're all really amazing. They all have different personalities. Like I mentioned, different deities, different affirmations. They're all paired with different crystals. And then for the reds, we have about 5 different reds that we make. And they all have really cool incantation names. That we have Hex, we have Catharsis, Fear Word. We have one that is called Floromancy, which is the ability to communicate with plants.
Oh, wow.
For the garden lovers too. So so we're doing a lot of really awesome things. We have the freedom to create the identity of the brands and do something that's fun and relatable and different. And so we're definitely taking advantage of that by having this cool brand that aligns with our vibe and our values and the things we want to have people experience with us.
Yeah. I love that you can order it online. You already have that figured out, because there's also a lot of tourists in 805.
Yes.
So if they love something, it's like, dang, I'm going to buy all these bottles, and then when I'm out, what do I do?
Yeah, actually, I also do have a wine club. So the wine club, basically, when you sign up for the wine club, you receive automatically, every 6 months, you receive a 6-pack of the new wines that I'm bringing out. And every time you receive the wines, you receive 3 crystals as well. And so, and when you receive your pack, I describe the wines, the crystals, how to use the crystals, and just like an update on everything that's going on in my life. If you want to support a Latina winemaker owned brand, it's the best way that you can do to be able to, to support me. With the wine club, you receive discounts on all your wine purchases. I also have a flat shipping fee for all my wine club members. Usually to ship wine, you have to pay like $35 depending on how much wine you want to get shipped, but you get $22 shipping fee. You get that 15% off every time you have any kind of purchases. Also, anytime you come in to visit me, you get 2 tastings for free.
Wow.
And then I also do have a pickup party, which is something that a lot of wineries do, where when the allocation's ready, when your wines are ready, we're like, hey, we're gonna have this big party, and there's you get 2 tickets for free, and then there's wine, there's food. I have a DJ. The next one that's coming up, it's the posada style, which is very traditional in Mexican culture, in which my mom is gonna make pozole and tamales, and we're gonna play loteria. And there's prizes for the loteria. We start with like oracle decks and crystal bracelets and sage, and then we go on to bottles, so people like get very competitive. It's really cute to see people do that. But I think that being able to bring culture into my parties and to everything that I do is very meaningful for me, and it also shows people the joy of our culture.
I love that. Have you ever done like a reader and a wine tasting event? Like maybe have a tarot reader?
I have had that. Yes, I definitely have had many different events. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I actually promote a lot of also virtual events that I offer to people, in which basically I have these professionals come and talk to us about witchy stuff that can help us to connect with wine, but also with ourselves.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your magic. I appreciate your time and your energy. And yes, follow her. I will have her website, her page, everything in the show notes, and support a witchy, badass Latina winemaker. All right, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Come visit me, guys.
Yes, come visit. I will probably be here on holidays.
Yes.
So yeah, come hang out with both of us.
Yay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.